The rate decision, a larger debate. Do we need the Fed at all?
Our next guest says no. Joran Brook is from the Ayn Rand Institute, and Jim Petrakakis is from U.S. News and World Report, also here. He thinks Joran is way off on this. So we've got some conflicting opinions, and we may bring in another voice here, depending on what's going on. But Joran, tell me, why don't we need the Fed?
I don't think the government should be in the business of setting prices. And every time it tries, it's a disaster. Price controls in the 70s, the Soviet Union trying to set the price of bread was a disaster. The Federal Reserve setting interest rates is unnecessary. It's bad for the economy. I agree with Steve Forbes. Let the market set interest rates. Let the market determine what the Fed funds, the equivalent of the Fed funds rate should be. What the Fed does is it causes Great Depressions, inflations, bubbles, credit crunches. I mean, all these economic problems that we've had since the Fed was founded in 1913 are a consequence of Fed policy. We don't need it. Markets work by themselves a lot better, a lot smoother, with less risk.
Yeah, but Jim, doesn't the Fed also act as a lender of last resort when banks get in trouble, as they did in the Depression, as maybe they have now because of these mortgage-backed securities? The Fed is a useful instrument to act as a lender of last resort.
I mean, that's right, David. I mean, the reason we have a Fed is really to stem financial panics. I mean, that's why a Fed was started. And I mean, I can give you $14 trillion reasons why we need a Fed. That's the size of the U.S. economy. We've had a Fed for about 100 years. The economy is done pretty good. We're now worth $14 trillion. In the past 25 years, where we've had a Fed that has been that's really kept a very close eye on inflation, we've had 25 almost perfect straight years of economic growth in this country. I mean, if you're going to say get rid of a Fed, you have to provide some evidence that it's been harmful for America. I don't see where the evidence is.
Peter Schiff, what is the evidence? You agree with Joran.
I got the evidence. Look, we established the Fed in 1913. If you look at consumer prices in the United States, you go back 150 years before that, there was zero inflation. Prices were no higher.
Deflation.
Prices were no higher in 1913 than they were in 1780. Since the Fed was created in 1913, our money has lost more than 95% of its value. The Fed has done a terrible job.
Peter, did you miss the great disinflation? Have you missed the great deflation of the past 25 years?
I haven't missed anything.
It's like your clock stopped at about 1979 or something.
Hold on, one at a time, guys. One at a time. Peter, go ahead.
The Fed has destroyed the value of our money. All right? That's why you can come out with these numbers and talk about economic growth when the economy is really contracting in real terms. You know, look at gold's up another $5 in the last 5 minutes. You know, I'd put my faith in gold over a politician with a printing press.
You're on.
Well, not only that, but look at GDP growth pre-1913. It was far greater in real terms than it is over the last 25 years. And you can say 14 trillion, but the economy could be 28 trillion. I mean, we don't know how large the U.S. economy could be.
Jim, you're outnumbered. Hold on, guys. Jim's outnumbered. He's in the middle. Let's give him the last word. Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead, Jim. You're on. Be quiet. Go ahead, Jim.
Listen, the one good point here is really because of globalization and financial markets, these guys are like this. The Fed really has less power now than maybe it did 25 years ago. So maybe as markets expand and currency markets get bigger and interest rate markets get bigger, the Fed will be less powerful. And Peter and Joran will be.
Last word from Jim Petrakakis, Peter Schiff, Joran. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Peter's going to be happy to hear that gold just touched $799 a troy ounce.
Close, as close as you can get to 800.